Welcome to today's class. We will learn about market equilibrium today. So nearby it's chapter 6, or it might be any other chapter on any other book. Just to begin with, let's understand the meaning of equilibrium. Equilibrium is a word which is a similar kind of word like balance. It means balance. When there is a balance in the market, we call that it's in an equilibrium position. For example, earlier we have already learned about the demand curve and the supply curve. That means the demand and supply situation in the market. And we are quite familiar with these two different kinds of diagrams. This is the demand curve, which is downward sloping. Price and quantity is there. And that one is supply curve, which is upward sloping, and price and quantity is also there. Now, when we are interested about market equilibrium, it means we have to put both the demand side and the supply side together in the same diagram, because we have demand and supply both in one market. So we'll put both the diagram in both the demand curve and the supply curve in the same diagram. So let's do this. Think about this is the demand curve, D1. Consider that this is the supply curve S1. So it's an important thing to note that you see separately there were demand curve and supply curve both on different diagrams, but now we have both of them on the same diagram. And there is a common point which is called an intersection point. You should know from the knowledge of mathematics that it is called intersection, because both the line have crossed or touched in one point. So this is called the intersection point, which means that at that point, say, let us name it as E, the point. Let's note it with E. So this E point indicates that at that point, both demand and supply is equal. And this is called the equilibrium. Okay, this is called the equilibrium. And at a specific price, so this equilibrium point will indicate two specific things. One is the price, another is the quantity. So based on this point, if we want the quantity, then we should go downward like this, and it will give us a particular amount of quantity. For example, Q1, we're naming it as Q1, that amount, or Q1. And this one is called the equilibrium quantity. In your book, you can see that it's marked like equilibrium price on one hand, and another is equilibrium quantity. So this one is the equilibrium quantity. And if we go to the left, touching that line, so this one will give us the equilibrium price. So that amount, say 100, 20, 50, 60, whatever it is, that will be our equilibrium price. To be a little bit specific about this, let's have a look at what diagram is given in your book. In your book, this diagram is constructed to show you the equilibrium price and quantity. So we have the demand curve here, and the supply curve is there, and intersection of both this demand and supply gives us the equilibrium. So from that point, we can find out that this is our equilibrium price. So at equilibrium, the price which is existing in the market, that is 30 pound, is the equilibrium price. And quantity at that point is 3,000 units. So that is the equilibrium quantity. So equilibrium, the point equilibrium gives us two different things. One is the equilibrium price, another is the equilibrium quantity. So it should be very easy for you to understand. Now, from equilibrium price and quantity, we need to learn another thing. It's called the total revenue. Okay. So To find out this one, we'll see that both mathematically and diagrammatically. First of all, you see the formula for total equilibrium is price multiplied by quantity. That means total revenue is equal to P multiplied by quantity. So whatever the equilibrium price and whatever the equilibrium quantity is, if we multiply both of them, we'll get the total revenue. So in that above diagram, our equilibrium price was 30. We know the formula. Price multiplied by quantity, the formula for total revenue. So price is 30 and quantity is, equilibrium quantity is 3000. So 30 multiplied with 3000 will give us the total revenue. So this amount is the total revenue. That means selling 3000 unit of anything, 3000 piece of something, and each one price 30 taka. So total amount of earning from that selling is 90,000 pounds. That is given it here, 90,000 pounds. That is called total revenue. So if we want to see the total revenue from the diagram, that will be like right. So you can see that area which is marked inside, that's marked with a different color. This one. So you see that there is a rectangle inside. I'm marking that with the purple color. A rectangle is created inside that area, and that is actually the total revenue. You know, from your mathematical knowledge, whatever you have learned already, if we want to, calculate the area under a rectangle, what do we do? For example, if it is 2 and it is 5, so to calculate the area, the formula is simple. 2 multiplied by 5 gives us the area. That will be 10 square meter or square feet or whatever it is. Similarly, we have the value of one side is 30, another is 3000. So actually the value of this area inside, it will be 90,000. So actually that area indicates the total revenue. So we're done with total revenue actually. Should be very simple. You can try, preparing the answer of this question. It's very simple. That supply curve and demand curve both are given. Based on this, there are 3 questions. Firstly, the quantity, equilibrium quantity is given. It is 6 million. And equilibrium price is, this is 3 and this is 2. So that value is in between 2 and 3. It should be 2.5 pounds. So that is 2.5 pound is your equilibrium price and 6 million is your equilibrium quantity. So state the equilibrium price and quantity. Just mention them. Equilibrium price is 2.5 pound and quantity is 6 million. That's it. Using this diagram, explain what is meant by equilibrium price. So at the equilibrium point, the price representing the equilibrium point is called the equilibrium price. That is equilibrium price, which is mentioned as 2.5. What should be the total revenue? You know the formula, price times quantity. So you have the price 2.5 pound and you have the quantity 6 million. Multiply both these two and you will get the total revenue. All right. So the next thing we'll know that when the equilibrium point changes. There will be some example given here. Let me show you that one in the diagram. Okay, so let's consider that this is our equilibrium point here, say E1. Because of this, we will have equilibrium price Q1 and equilibrium quantity Q2. Now, somehow, if the demand increases in the market, showing you that the demand curve shifting. So demand curve might shift that way from D1 to D2. So our supply curve is same as S1, but the demand has been changed and our new demand curve is E2. Because of this, our new equilibrium will be a different one. So new demand and old supply curve both are intersecting on a new point. For example, this, let's denote it with E2. This will indicate the new equilibrium point. So because of this, there will be different equilibrium price and different equilibrium quantity as well. Okay, that was a mistake. Consider that one as Q1. So what we have seen from this analysis is that because of a change in demand, the equilibrium may change, and based on that, equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity both will change. Now, all of this happened just because of the change in supply, change in demand. Demand curve has shifted. What if the supply curve changes as well? So let's see this one with a different diagram. Consider that this is Q1, and we have our equilibrium price Q1, quantity Q1. Okay. Now, what if the supply curve changes? If the supply increases, it shifts to the right, S1 to S2. Again, we have a new point, new intersection point. That one is the new intersection point where new demand, old demand curve and new supply curve have intersected, and say this is E2. So this E2 point is showing us a different scenario. Now the equilibrium price is lower than before, but the quantity is higher than before. So these are the cases what might happen if the demand curve or the supply curve changes their position, then equilibrium will also be changed. All right. So we are on the last topic of this chapter actually. I can see key terms, you have equilibrium price, total revenue. So you should learn this. And now we have two different topics left behind to finish this chapter. One is excess demand and another is excess supply. Excess demand means when demand is higher than supply in the market, it will create some shortage. Excess means demand is excess than supply. So higher demand, lower supply indicates excess demand. And excess supply is just the opposite, where supply is higher and demand is lower. So excess supply indicates there is an unsold product. So we have to see this. You just go through these definitions and learn it on your own. I'll just show you the diagram. In your book, this diagram indicates excess demand and excess supply, but let me show you the different diagram. It will be easier for you. We already know that this is equilibrium where both demand and supply meets together. Say, let's mark with E1. The numbers are given. Let's consider the numbers. In your book, the numbers are given like equilibrium price is 60 pounds and equilibrium quantity is 6 million something. All right. So 60 pounds and 6 million.